Most breakups don't end with a dramatic scene. They end in silence, in a message you reread too many times, in a quiet moment where you realize the bond is already gone, but your nervous system hasn't accepted it yet. And sooner or later, almost everyone faces the same painful question. How do you emotionally break up with someone without breaking yourself? Endings come in many forms: romantic relationships, friendships, even family bonds. But when you're deeply attached and that attachment collapses, the emptiness that follows can feel like an indescribable source of pain. Carl Gustav Jung points to a truth that brings clarity to this moment. Do not hold on to what has passed, so there is room for what is coming. That sentence sounds simple, but it reveals a narrow line between attachment and letting go. It also exposes a deeper confusion many people carry. Is love, contrary to what we were taught, supposed to come packaged with fear? Or is it not love itself, but a disguised form of something else? Jung argued that attachment is not love, but a disguised form of fear. When you cling to someone, it isn't always because you love them. It's often because deep inside, you believe you are incomplete without them. You start to feel that without this person, your life loses meaning. Without their approval, your value drops. Without their attention, you become smaller, weaker, less real. That is why separation can feel like withdrawal, like you're losing oxygen, like you're breaking. But according to Carl Gustav Jung, those feelings are not love. They are emotional dependency. Because real love expands you. It strengthens you. It makes you more yourself, not less. It is growth, not captivity. It is connection, not chains. True love means you want to be with someone because you choose them, because your heart is open, not because you need them to feel whole. And yet, most people confuse love with attachment, because in so many past relationships, the fear of losing the other person was louder than the desire to share life with them. We were taught that love hurts. We were taught that if someone truly matters, we should be afraid to lose them. We absorbed the idea, sometimes without realizing it, that loving means needing, holding, clinging, depending. So ask yourself this carefully. Do you truly love this person? Or are you afraid to be without them? That's how attachment hides. It wears the mask of devotion. Attachment is not just wanting someone in your life. Attachment is the feeling that without them, you lose a piece of yourself. And it's easy to justify. It's easy to say, I love them so much, I can't imagine life without them. But the problem is not love. The problem is believing love disappears when the person disappears. The problem is believing love lives in them, instead of recognizing that the source of love is within you. Because if you believe love exists only in the other person, then when they leave, you feel like love itself has died. And that's when attachment becomes a prison. If you believe you need someone to feel worthy, your happiness becomes external. If they stay, you feel okay. If they pull away, you collapse. And somewhere inside, you already know that is not healthy. Love is not meant to be dependency. That balance, loving deeply without losing yourself, is something very few people learn. Jung captured this principle with another line. Love needs to possess nothing, only to understand. When you love through understanding instead of control, you release the need to grip. When you accept that no one is responsible for your happiness, you loosen your hold. When you realize love isn't a limited resource, you stop fearing its end. Because true love is not fear. Constant anxiety is not devotion. Obsessive worry is not proof of depth. It's fear of loss. True love is freedom. But to experience that freedom, you must become free from attachment first. You must learn how to release someone without panic. You must understand that letting go does not have to mean losing. Sometimes letting go means finding your peace again. And that leads to the question that matters most. How do you let go without feeling lost? How do you let go without being left alone with the emptiness? Because emotionally detaching from someone does not mean giving up love. It means finding yourself again. Letting go is one of the hardest things a human being can do. Many of us grew up with the belief that real love lasts forever, and if someone truly matters, we must do everything to keep them close. We were told that separation equals failure, and letting someone go equals loss. But emotionally detaching from someone is not failure. It is freeing yourself from the belief that your happiness depends on their presence. Because love should not feel like a cage. You should not live in constant fear that the person will change, move away, or wake up one day and choose a different life. When fear becomes the center, love becomes heavy. It becomes a burden, not a gift. This connects to another Jung idea often quoted. Nothing has a stronger psychological effect on its environment than the unlived life of a parent. And beyond parenting, the core message applies to relationships too. When you abandon your own life to keep a bond alive, something inside you begins to die. If you sacrifice your nature to stay, if you shrink yourself to avoid conflict, if you keep giving while you feel drained, if you stay only because letting go terrifies you, then you are not protecting love. You are giving up your life, and that is the deepest loss. The fear of letting go is not love. It is addiction. If the thought of separation panics you, if it makes you spiral, ask yourself again, is it love that holds you here, or the fear of being alone? Many people think they can't release someone because they love them too much. But when you look deeper, you often find fear underneath. Fear you won't find a connection like this again. Fear of facing yourself without the distraction of the relationship. Fear that the emptiness will get louder. And here is the difficult truth, that emptiness didn't begin with them. It was there before they arrived. Their presence covered it. Their attention distracted you from it. And you started to believe their love was the thing keeping you whole. But the truth is, no one can fill your emptiness for you. Only you can heal it. Letting someone go does not mean they were meaningless. It does not mean you erase what happened. It does not mean love never existed. It means you choose yourself. You choose peace over a connection that drains you. You choose to reclaim your energy instead of spending it trying to hold something together by force. You choose to move forward rather than live in the past. Letting go does not mean giving up love. It means giving up suffering. Some people believe moving on means becoming cold, cutting the connection completely, pretending nothing mattered, acting like it never happened. But real emotional detachment is not the absence of love. You can release someone and still honor what they meant to you. You can let them go without hatred. You can move forward without erasing the past, just without living inside it. The difference between letting go with love and letting go with pain is how you interpret the goodbye. If you see the breakup as a theft, you will feel pain, as if something that belongs to you is being ripped away. But if you see it as an act of self-respect, an act of self-love, then the emptiness becomes space. Space to breathe again, space to rebuild, space to return to yourself. Then letting go isn't an ending, it's an open door. So how do you let go without hardening? This is where many people get stuck. They confuse detachment with numbness. They believe healing requires becoming indifferent. They think to avoid pain, they must shut down all feeling, cut everything at the root. But detachment does not mean avoiding connection. It does not mean becoming emotionless. It means learning to feel, without being controlled by what you feel. It does not mean forgetting. It does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. And this is the principle Jung points to. The key to emotional freedom lies in integrating experiences without clinging to them. To integrate means you let it become part of your story without letting it become your prison. You can be grateful for what was. You can learn from it. You can keep the lesson without needing to relive the pain. That is healing. Healing is not running away from love. It is learning to experience love in a healthier way. It is not becoming hard. It is learning to feel without becoming dependent. Love is not the problem. The problem is how you have interpreted love. If you've only experienced love through anxiety, you learned to expect anxiety. If you've only experienced love through dependency, you learned to fear being without it. If you used love to cover emptiness, you felt broken when the person left. But if you learn to love without fear, without dependency, without possession, you discover something life-changing. Love does not come from outside you. Love has always been within you. And when you truly understand that, the fear of letting go begins to disappear, because you stop believing the other person was your source. Now comes the turning point. How do you transform pain into growth? Because the end of a relationship is not the end of your life. It can be the beginning of something bigger. The pain of letting go can feel like an open wound. It can make you doubt yourself. It can trap you in mental loops. What did I do wrong? What could I have changed? Forcing you to replay memories like a movie you can't turn off. But understand this: pain becomes destructive only when you refuse to use it for growth. Jung expressed the core idea like this: without pain, no awareness. The hardest experiences do not arrive to destroy you. They arrive to reveal what you avoid seeing. They pull you out of familiar patterns and force you to grow into a higher level of awareness if you let them. Yet many people stay trapped in pain. They repeat it. They use it to justify insecurity. They identify with it so deeply that it becomes part of their identity. But you have a choice. You can let pain consume you, or you can use it as fuel. Treat pain like a teacher. Every loss leaves behind information. Maybe you learned you can't build your happiness on another person. Maybe you realized you didn't set boundaries, and that's why you disappeared inside the relationship. Maybe you accepted less than you truly deserved. Maybe you stayed too long, hoping someone would become who you needed them to be. Pain has meaning, And when you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" everything changes. Pain stops being a punishment. It becomes a tool. If it made you insecure, use it to build real confidence. If you felt lost, use it to reconnect with what you actually want. If you gave too much without receiving enough, use it to learn healthy boundaries. Every scar becomes proof that you survived. And here is the paradox many people miss. Letting go does not make you weaker. It makes you clearer. Many people believe they lose a piece of themselves when they release someone. But the truth is often the opposite. When you let someone go, you find yourself again. Because letting go does not mean forgetting what happened. It means learning to move forward without being trapped inside the story. And that is where real transformation happens. Pain should not make you hard. It should make you wiser. You don't need to close yourself off from love. You need to learn to love without fear. You don't need to stop trusting. You need to learn whose trust is earned. You don't need to cling to resentment. You need to release with gratitude for what the experience taught you. If you're going through a breakup right now, if letting go hurts more than you expected, remember this: you are not losing, you are evolving. You are not leaving a piece of yourself behind. You are building a stronger version of yourself. You are not giving up love. You are learning to experience love in a healthier way. And now ask yourself the question that changes everything. How will you use this experience to grow? Because the story you already lived cannot be rewritten, but the story you write from this point forward is entirely yours. Emotionally detaching from someone is not only an ending, it is a chance to open yourself to a new life, one built on freedom, not fear, one built on wholeness, not dependency. And the moment you truly understand this, attachment stops being a chain. You are no longer a prisoner of a finished story. That is the day you truly begin to live. If these thoughts helped you, support the channel by liking the video and sharing your perspective in the comments. And if you want more calm, practical psychology like this, subscribe to Quiet Psychology. What do you think about this topic? Share your thoughts in the comments.